Peace be with you. I just wanted to spend a little time with you guys that have been recently subscribing. I wanted to thank you for doing so. Um, I've been working on a lot of footage that I've taken over the last 10 years of my life and uploading them, and I really appreciate some of you guys taking the time to absorb this work and have commentary and just be there for it. So super cool. I am going to read some out of a book called The Essene Origins of Peace. I think if it gets closer, it's more visible. There you go. The writer is Edmund Bordeaux-Sexley. And we're going to read the chapter called Dialectical versus Chaotic Exegesis. The Exegesis criticized. Under the heading Exegetes, we place all who have studied or do now study the origins of Christianity. First, we have the numerous churchmen who remain churchmen even when they have left the fold. They claim to make history and science, but in truth, they are but theologians. Theology, wrote Voltaire, is the art of believing and making believe that the moon is made of green cheese. I will say that is one thing I've come to appreciate about the philosophy of cosmic order suns, is that in no place is there an era by which that an area that you have to pretend like you understand something. I think one of the biggest things that I've come to smell out about false, really anything, is that it starts to become very confusing, and that's sometimes not on purpose. Sometimes it's because the people that are trying to share something are confused themselves. After the churchmen come the laity, mostly doctors of divinity, in the universities of France, Germany, and England. These are the men of letters, rather than persons endowed with the scientific spirit, men of great erudition, without doubt, in the sense of being widely read and having a retentive memory, coupled with a flair for marshalling facts. But in the majority of cases, these qualities, and the diplomas which accompany them, confer no title to the immortality which is the reward of sound judgment. A developed critical sense and a keen psychological awareness. There's that word, immortality. Their company is numerous, and some among them are illustrators. Renan, Strauss, Tolstoy, Harnack, Cornembert, Edward Rius, Loci, Reveli, Warnell, Wordy, Ranach, Gutenberg, Emil Ludwig, Papini, to say nothing of those fanciful spirits who look upon Jesus Christ as a pathological case or purely mythical fiction. Of these scholars, Ginunbit, one of the last to enter the field of exegesis, wrote that they have constructed the history of Christianity. They have written its history. It's evident, but a history of what merit? If Gutenberg had included among them the Jewish ecclesiastical writers of the first 3 or 4 centuries of the Christian era, then his idea of rendering homage to the patient efforts of his precursors would have been well conceived. For these earliest Jewish writers do indeed deserve high praise. To construct means to manufacture with materials, and that is just what Christianity is. A construction manufactured either with materials divorced from their historical, chronological, or geographical context, or else, as in more often the case, with materials derived from a deliberately falsified history, chronologically and geographically. And chronologically and geography. He wrote geography, but I think I would say it the correct way. I do not belong to the august body of the exegetes, and I do not regret it. For after all, what are they? They are those who practice exegesis, a term belonging to the specific vocabulary of the Church. In the course of our study, we shall encounter many other such terms of Greek origin, used by theologians who see nothing ridiculous in this language of sublimity. What does the word exegesis mean, according to the dictionary? Exegesis means exposition or explanation of the text and documents concerned with the origin of Christianity. No doubt this definition is correct, but etymologically, the Greek word I will not pronounce signifies guiding, leading, steering, and this is just what exegesis does. It steers. The Church does not trust, nor has she ever trusted, the reader's reason and intellect and intelligence. She fears them. So the mission of exegesis is to conduct men upon the path laid down by the Church for them to walk upon. When she is not busy enshrouding man's spirit in the veil of mystery, she is clapping blinkers on his eyes. And exegesis, even when the product of lay university professors and ecclesiastics, remains a governor of the human conscience. If exegesis proclaims itself critical, It is because it rises, or better, descends to the level of church history, of Ebios, whose impostors, which are the basis of all false theories on the confection of the Gospels it accepts, all the exegetes lay and critical alike, and lay and clerical alike flounder in the Iesubane bog, or if the reader prefers, wander upon the old beaten track of the official Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, of the Revelation, and of the other canonical scriptures as laid down by Eusebius. For more than 100 years, their criticism has turned upon its axis, describing unmeaning circles of repetition. It is as hopelessly sterile in substance as it is monumentous in form, having for its basis tradition invented simply to cloak the sophisms, frauds, and suppressions to which history has been subject. The critical sense of the exegetes has never managed to detangle itself from this living tradition, their methods granting it to be scientific, reasons from unsound postulates grounding upon falsehoods. There is need of a righteous exactitude extending to the least as well as to the most important facet, requiring all to be verified before they are employed. This does not mean that it is forbidden to reason from a false document in order to establish the truth. On the contrary, it is very necessary, particularly where the origins of Christianity are in question. But first, the documents must be recognized and proved to be false. The conclusions reached by the scholars are either childish or obscure, or else so extravagant as to be almost laughable. The historical truth which lies at the bottom always escapes them. The only certain result of all their histories of Christianity and lives of Jesus, most of them hideous abortions, and of all their literary repositories stacked so full of talent and erudition, which I even if I gib at them, am not the last to admire, is the disturbance of faith without the satisfaction of reason. So, for me, what I'm hearing there is that there's a tradition of people questioning Christianity, and there's a tradition of the exact path that they follow in that process. Chaos and method. Faith stands by the side of reason, outside of history and of science. It belongs to the inner consciousness of the individual. free to believe what he pleases. Faith can rest satisfied with mystery. Indeed, mystery is a necessity to it. I was just saying to someone yesterday that it makes me sad. Most religious people and the way that they speak about religion, because it's so childlike, really, and so really like cartoon character like, and it's sad because the creator that they're interested in, the Jesus that they're interested in having communion with, is available to them. And what's also highly interesting is that the other characters that show themselves are also available in a very dramatically real way. But that would take a study of things most Christians are not at all interested in. Meaning, Christians can really get into their faith and really commune with these different entities that are available to them, but they would be getting more into witchcraft than they would be comfortable with. I'm not saying that that's a good thing to do, by the way. The angels of the Bible are not actually the angels of the Creator. They were swapped out. The origins of Christianity, on the other hand, are in the domain of history. The Church, indeed, has composed her history from the standpoint of religion and faith. But what is it worth historically? We propose to consider its credentials. With the Christian faith, we have nothing to do. The religious and scientific points of view are not opposed to one another. They are mutually exclusive. Nor can the ingenious denials of certain intellects, great but for the weaknesses, alter the facets that exude each other. Reason permits no mystery. It must explain all. Okay, we're going to take a little break there and come back to this. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you later. Oh, if you haven't noticed, I have a young man I've been working with out of Africa. His name is Elijah, and you'll notice him on some of my videos. He has a new baby coming into the world, and we're going to be sending him some support here soon. And anything that you could do to help that by subscribing and sharing videos would be very helpful. Thanks much.